If you ain't first, you're last. A quote by Ricky Bobby in the movie Talladega Nights that he lived his life by. And after some reflection, this has been my outlook on life since I was a very young child. Competition and achieving my goals has affected how I interact with others, how I overcome daily challenges, and how I see life. Competition has motivated me academically since I was a young child, athletically throughout my junior high and high school years, and in college has intensified in certain areas, but also mellowed out in others. Competition has been the driving force behind many of the successes in my life. And some of you may be wondering in the audience, why is he so competitive? Was he born like this, or was it something he was taught? As many as the firstborn children in the room can attest to, your parents probably held you to a higher standard than maybe your younger siblings. They were a little bit more strict on you in terms of grades, athletics, anything. They just wanted to make sure that you turned out okay. So my parents pushed me to be the best in everything I did, from accelerating the quickest in my toddler gymnastics classes to having the best grades in all of my classes. Eventually, this competitive desire for them to want me to be the best rubbed off on me. For example, in elementary school, we had these things called AR books. For every book you read, you got a point. I always had the most points in my class. Not because I loved to read, but just because I wanted to beat every other person in my class. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a dig at my parents. I'm not mad at them for wanting me to be the best and putting that pressure on me. I'm glad they desired better for me in my life, and I'm thankful to have parents who cared for me that much. Now, the thrill for winning that I gained when I was in elementary school only grew as I began competing in gymnastics at the age of 9. By the age of 16, I advanced to the elite level in gymnastics and was also a national champion. Of course, old passions do die hard, and eventually I didn't have the passion for gymnastics anymore that I once had. But when I was a sophomore in high school, I joined an organization called the FFA. The FFA is where my passions began to refocus. I got to compete in parliamentary procedure, public speaking, and was elected the president of my district. Now, for as much as I loved winning, I learned through the FFA that I hated losing that much more. This came when I felt the toughest loss to date, when I missed being elected area officer by a slim margin. This affected me for months afterwards. I was devastated, and it affected the types of situations I put myself in and my competitive desire as a whole. So, I stopped feeling sorry for myself as I began my senior year of high school, and I decided to put everything I had into my senior year. So that year I advanced to state in all of my FFA competitions and also landed the greatest achievement to date, which is being selected as a Terry Scholar at Texas Tech. Then, I was scared after I graduated high school. I was nervous about going from being a big fish in a small pond at my small high school in Idlewood, Texas, to being a small fish in a big pond at Texas Tech University with 35,000 other students. I was afraid my competitive desire would just fade away, and I would just feel like I needed to blend in. However, I got involved my freshman year in organizations like SGA, where I had to campaign against others, and President-Select, where I had to interview to be selected to be a member. This intensified my competitive desire. Also though, like I mentioned at the beginning of my speech, I did mellow out in some ways. I was introduced to a great friend group and a wonderful church home my freshman year of college. They taught me that this world is only temporary and to enjoy life while I can. While I am still a determined person, the psychopathic tendencies I once had to beat everyone in literally every area of life have slowly begun to fade away. Being competitive has affected my life from the time I was in kindergarten, throughout middle school, and also in college. However, in college, I continue to learn how to be a more graceful and understanding person in situations where I'm not always going to be the best. While I still claim my motto to be, if you ain't first, you're last, I'm learning that being last isn't always the end of the world.